Introduction. Long Beach, California, is home to one of the largest Cambodian populations outside of Cambodia. Many Cambodian families arrived in the United States during the late 1970s and early 1980s as refugees, fleeing the genocide of the Khmer Rouge regime. While many rebuilt their lives and contributed positively to American society, a portion of the Cambodian American youth fell into gang culture driven by trauma, poverty, and a sense of alienation. This essay explores the historical roots, social factors, and ongoing impact of Cambodian gangs in Long Beach. Historical background. The origins of Cambodian gangs in Long Beach cannot be understood without looking at the refugee crisis of the late 20th century. After the fall of the Khmer Rouge in 1979, hundreds of thousands of Cambodians fled their war-torn homeland. The U.S. government resettled many in places like Long Beach, where housing was affordable, but resources were limited. Many of these families arrived with little money, education, or English language skills. They were placed in rough, inner-city neighborhoods where poverty, drugs, and crime were already common. Cambodian parents, traumatized by genocide and unfamiliar with American culture, often struggled to raise their children in this new environment. The second-generation Cambodian youth, caught between the cultures, often felt disconnected from both their parents and American society. Formation of Cambodian gangs in the 1980s and 1990s. This cultural and economic isolation led some Cambodian American youth to form or join gangs. Initially, these groups were formed for protection against other racial groups, such as Black or Latino gangs in their neighborhoods. Over time, they evolved into criminal enterprises involved in drug trafficking, robbery, assault, and other violent crimes. One of the most well-known Cambodian gangs in Long Beach was the Tiny Rascal Gang TRG. Founded in the mid-1980s, TRG quickly became one of the largest and most violent Asian American gangs in the U.S., with branches spreading to other cities and states. Their main rivals were other Southeast Asian gangs such as the Asian Boys, as well as Black and Hispanic gangs. These gangs adopted the typical signs of gang culture: colors, hand signs, tattoos, graffiti, and territorial disputes. Violent clashes between rival gangs led to a rise in crime and contributed to Long Beach being labeled a hotspot for gang activity during the 1990s and early 2000s.
Socioeconomic and cultural factors. Several social issues contributed to the rise of Cambodian gangs in Long Beach. 1. Poverty. Cambodian families often lived in low-income housing with limited access to jobs, education, and health care. This economic hardship pushed some youth toward illegal means of survival. 2. Family trauma. Many parents were survivors of the Khmer Rouge and suffered from PTSD, depression, and anxiety. This made it difficult for them to provide emotional support or discipline. 3. Language and cultural barriers. A lack of English fluency among parents made it hard for them to engage with schools or law enforcement. At the same time, Cambodian youth struggled with cultural identity, feeling neither fully American nor fully Cambodian. For school dropout rates, many Cambodian American students dropped out due to bullying, language issues, or lack of support. Without educational direction, some were pulled into street life. Law enforcement and community response. During the 1990s and early 2000s, law enforcement cracked down on Cambodian gangs through surveillance, arrests, and deportation. The U.S. government also began deporting Cambodian immigrants who had criminal records, even those who had come to the country as children. These deportations often shocked Cambodian communities. Many of those deported had never lived in Cambodia as adults and faced language barriers and alienation when sent back. The policy created broken families and increased tension between the community and law enforcement. In recent years, community leaders and nonprofits have stepped in to prevent gang violence through mentorship, education, and job training. Organizations like the United Cambodian Community in Long Beach work to provide youth with alternatives to gang life. Current state and legacy. While gang activity among Cambodian youth in Long Beach has declined compared to the peak years of the 1990s, the legacy still lingers. The trauma caused by violence, incarceration, and deportation continues to affect families. Today, many second- and third-generation Cambodian Americans are working to reclaim their identity in more positive ways through art, activism, education, and entrepreneurship. Efforts to reform deportation laws, provide mental health services, and increase educational opportunities are seen as key to healing and progress. The Cambodian American community in Long Beach remains resilient and deeply rooted, with a growing number of leaders who are shaping a more hopeful future. Conclusion: the story of Cambodian gangs in Long Beach is not just one of violence, it's a reflection of the broader immigrant experience in America. It illustrates how war, trauma, poverty, and social neglect can lead to crime and marginalization, but also how resilience, community support, and cultural pride can lead to recovery and growth. Understanding this history is essential to supporting the Cambodian